Okay, James, here it is. This was, as you know, this was a serious rework when it came in, and I did some, I did a lot of crazy stuff to bring this watch back. Normally, I don't bring back watches that were this far down, but you really wanted to bring this one back, and you were committed to the process, so we did that. The watch, of course, had destroyed. Obviously, it had a destroyed dial and handset, and serious water damage to the movement. The person had used an aftermarket dial and handset, and had done some other funky stuff, which I'm going to go over here in a second. I couldn't really tell you the condition of the previous dial and handset, the original dial and handset, because of course they were gone. But I can tell you by looking at the movement that, whoo, it must have gotten a lot of water in there. The guy who did the restoration on the movement, whoever that person was, they got pretty inventive, but what they did is they did a lot of repair work rather than replacing anything. And so there were actually a good number of bad parts in there that should have been replaced when he did this work before, but instead he just kind of cleaned them up as best as he could. I'll talk about those parts, but anyway. So this is now, that's an original insert with original loom. This is an original dial that I restored for you. It had badly damaged loom, but I cleaned it up and made it bright again. You can see it's still got some pecks around the inside of the things, but it's original, which is something you really wanted. This is your aftermarket handset, which I reloomed to match the dial, and I reworked the sweep hand in a way to make it look more correct. I do some funky stuff to get it so it has the correct flat surface on the top, which is important. God, the watch just had some crazy stuff in it. Okay, so here we are. Okay, oh, that's not supposed to be in there. Hang on just one second. That's not yours. Okay, so obviously we have bad seals, old caseback seal. We have your aftermarket insert, which is there. We have your standard aftermarket dial with its green loom. This is what looks like an original crystal, but I'm not honestly sure, but it's been, somebody took a lens grinder to it to try to make it usable again. This is what's left of your dial ring. That's original, but it's shattered, which happened. Okay, so there were a couple things. One, okay, so here is, I'm just going to go through the parts. This is what's left of the spring for your click ball, and it's just a rusted, nasty mess, and it actually took me a fair amount of work to get that out of there. So you have a new genuine Seiko click ball spring. Interestingly, this case is one of the odd ones where instead of the click ball being over here, it's over here. I don't really know what it means, but it's interesting. So anyway, there's your rusty, destroyed screw. A lot of the water got into the front of the movement, sitting on the dial in the calendar area. So as a result of that, it had some real problems. This right here, that little baby, that is your hour wheel. And this is what the hour hand sits on. This had been sort of, this is brass and it's plated brass. It wouldn't normally be affected that badly by water, but this was really worked over. And you can see it's actually missing a lot of the plating because he sort of manually scraped it clean, but it's out of round and just really rough inside and would have eaten up a lot of the amplitude if we left it. So that had to go. Your cannon pinion was just chunk. I mean, there's like huge bits. Well, not huge. It doesn't look huge at all, but I mean, the pitting on it was actually quite serious. And the teeth were damaged. Like the underparts of some of the teeth are just missing. All the teeth are there, but they're very weak. This is, as a result of that, having that stuff, is your minute wheel, which is right here, which interacts with that. The teeth are all hacked up and kind of ground away on the top. So that was bad. He didn't have the correct plate in the front. This is the calendar guard. The date dial goes around here, and so this is not for a 6105. This is for like a 6106 or 6119 or something else like this. It's not correct for 6105, so I put a correct 6105 one in there. For some reason, he did this to this. What this is the center wheel cock, okay? So this sits inside the movement. The center wheel comes up here, and so it's rotating here. And this channel is for the hacking lever. Now, this is a 6105B movement. The balance cock the center wheel cock should have already had this channel, but it didn't. He like kind of ground this away and made a non-hacking bridge into a hacking one, but it was warped and kind of jacked up. And incorrect. So I put a good, correct 6105B hacking center wheel cock in there. So there's that. The last thing he did, well, he did a couple of things. He wanted to try to reseal the crown, but he didn't kind of know what he was doing. I don't know how he got the crown open, but he did get the crown open. But in doing so, he just destroyed the inner. There's supposed to be a sort of basically an inner sort of snap ring slot that's right in here that would allow this ring to be coned again and then snapped into place so it holds together. He didn't do that. So he took this whole thing apart. He got some sort of seal that he put in there and then he soldered it shut. You can actually see the solder all over it. And the heat of the solder destroyed the seal that he had in there. So this crown is just flat out, it's just not usable. I tried to actually clean it up and make it work again, but it's just not usable. So I had to put on, this is a new old stock genuine Seiko 6105 crown. And that's in there with new seal, and that's all good to go. It was crazy, all the work I had to do. I mean, it doesn't sound like a lot. I mean, it seems like it's okay, but man, it took real time to bring this back, to make this watch from what it had been, which was a big old water-stained rework, into an actual watch again. But that's what it is. It's an actual watch again. It's pretty cool. I could probably pull this off of here. Hang on, if you want to see inside the back. I should be wearing finger cots, but I'm not. There she blows. I will go and I will double check this before I send it out, so don't worry about that. I just thought you might enjoy that. So this was, it's unusual. Like I said, I don't normally bring watches back that were this far down, but this one I did. This was the best of 3 dials that I had. I had 2 others that were in various states, but this really was the best of them. Still has all of its hash marks. The marker tops are pretty square and not damaged at all. The Seiko is still white. There's some hazing on the dial, but it's correct and original. And of course, the nice thing is too, he also, when he was soldering the crown, he also repaired the pin in the case that locks into the crown. But he had also, again, it was soldered, so there were blobs of solder everywhere. I cleaned that up. I machined all that stuff out and made it so that it locks beautifully, but it also hacks exactly as it should. And we go back in here and it locks just so nicely. I also had some extra time in to clean out the inside of the rotating ring where he had glued this aftermarket insert in place with some kind of like hardcore epoxy. So I had to really get in there with dental tools to get that stuff out. But there it is. Clickety click. Just like that. And there it is. So it's locking, sealed, new crystal, and it went from being what it was to what it is. Okay, I just wanted to run you through all the stuff that got done there, and because there was a lot of it. Oh, the movement also had a terribly worn lower mainspring arbor port, so I went and replaced that. There was also some material that was on the wheels that I had to go through and hand clean. It was this, I'm not quite sure what the stuff was, but it looked like something that was deposited there when it probably got the last time it was cleaned. Because it looked like some kind of weird semi-clear deposits. I'm not sure what they were. So I had some extra time there to get rid of those too. Anyway, that's it. Okay, thank you so very much. Thank you, thank you.